Yeah.
We ready? Please.
So,
Got it? Okay, we'll call the meeting to order, with the notice posted in accordance with. Okay. And then secretary to read the notice of public hearing.
notice of public hearing, State of Wisconsin, County of Burnett, Monday, August 1st, 2022, at 6 p.m. at the Burnett County Government Center in room 165, Town of Neenah, Siren, Wisconsin, regarding the following. Variance 2209, Shear. Public notice is hereby given to all persons in the town of Swift, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Thomas and Tina Shear have made an application relative to a proposal to vary the terms of the Burnett County Land Use and Shoreline Protection Code of Ordinances as follows. To leave a retaining wall, patio, and fire pit which were constructed without land use permits and which don't meet the various road and property line setbacks. Part of the fire pit and patio are located within the road right-of-way, and to expand the deck within the private road setback located on Lake 26 at 30012 Lakes Drive in the RR2 zoning district, Unit 5, and Common Area Lake 26 Resort Condo in Government Lots 4 and 5, Section 274115. Variance 2210, Priest. Public notice is hereby given to all persons in the town of Neenah, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Jeff Priest has made an application relative to a proposal to vary the terms of the Burnett County Land Use and Shoreline Protection Code of Ordinances as follows. To construct an addition, lateral expansion, on a structure which is less than 35 feet from the ordinary high water mark of the Clam River at 6314 Davis Drive in the RR3 zoning district, Lot 3A, CSM Volume 1, page 172, in the northeast corner of the southeast corner, Section 263916.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of the agenda order.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda order.
I second it.
Second, motion carried. So the board members have all visited the sites. Public comments on other than scheduled hearings tonight will have a 3-minute time limit. Hearing is being recorded, so we ask that only one person speak at a time or it'll garble up and they can't pick it up afterwards. We ask that one person from the announced variance be designated by the applicant to present their case before the board and come up and sit in the seat up here. The board will then ask for public comments and any received correspondence from local authorities or neighbors concerning announced variance. Then the board will close that portion of the hearing and deliberate amongst themselves, asking any questions to clarify items of concern. A vote will be taken before moving on to the next variance, so you'll know the decision tonight. Applicant, local officials, and DNR shall receive within 30 days a letter summarizing the hearing, also including information on applicant's rights to appeal the decision in circuit court within 30 days. Any person aggrieved by this decision or taxpayer or any officer, department, board of review, or bureau of the county may within 30 days after filing of this decision in the office of the Board of Adjustment commence an action in circuit court seeking remedy available by certiorari. Just a kind of a summary, the zoning board of adjustment functions like a court. It must follow state laws and local zoning ordinances. The zoning board cannot change or ignore any part of the zoning ordinance or state laws, but must apply the laws as written. The zoning board may only grant a variance, special exception, or administrative appeal if the applicant provides evidence showing that they meet all the legal standards for that decision, including 3 criteria: unnecessary hardship, hardship due to unique property limitations, and no harm to public interest. So with that, any public comments other than what we're hearing tonight? So we'll begin with, variance, 22-09. Chair, if you can come up and take a seat. Just give a summary, or, you know, what you're asking for, and
Okay. Sorry, I'm really nervous. I'm not used to talking in front of
okay,
people.
we're just regular people.
I run a preschool and a childcare center, so if you were 3 or 4, I'd have a much
Yeah.
better
Well.
comfort zone.
Yeah, yeah. Some days my wife says I am, right?
I'm asking for a variance for, patio pavers, behind our cabin and around the fire pit. And for, the small deck in front of our, cabin to kind of increase the size. The wood is rotten, and, I have a pest control person that has come out and said that the deck has to come off because that's how mice and spiders and insects are getting in. So that is, what we're looking at today. You want me to give you a little information, or?
We've all been out there and looked at that. So the existing deck is there, and you need to remove that,
That's
and
on
then
the lake
and
side,
replace it on the lake
Correct.
side, yeah.
Correct, yes,
Get that repaired.
correct.
And you want to go larger than what's there.
I would like to go a little larger than what's there. What happens is that the size of the deck that it is right now, people often trip on the front because it's so small. In January of 2020, my husband had a really bad accident. He slipped on ice, fell on both his knees, and fell over so that it damaged his shoulder too. He severed his quadricep tendons in both of his legs. So he had to have surgery immediately and have his legs in full leg cast and live in a nursing home for 3 months to let that heal and then learn how to walk again. And he walks as a matter of fact, this weekend at the cabin twice he fell when he wasn't on the pavers. So walking is a challenge for him. So that's one reason that the pavers are really needed. The other is, if you look at the pictures, I know that you've all been there, but I did, make some pictures. If you look at the,
Are these the same pictures we have in our pamphlet, or to verify that for the record?
Some of them are, yes.
okay, you have that, okay. The slope goes down to that door, it's kind of under the flag on picture 1. So it kind of gives you an idea where the water goes. And then on the back of page 2, it shows you that the cabin, it was a bar, but it was built on a slab, so it's not raised at all. So the water would go right towards that door. But we have earth with wood chips against the cabin and against the retaining wall, so that when the water comes down, it does a really nice job of keeping the water away from running into the cabin like it did. I just gave you a couple of pictures to show you how, like on the back of page 3, the runoff comes down over the retaining wall, and then it goes down, it does get absorbed. We planted a lot of trees, shrubs, prairie grasses, wildflowers, and things like that to also help the ground not erode and be better. The last 2 pictures are just pictures of, it shows you how the deck wood is just green. It gets very slippery and it gets rotten.
So the deck on the front, are you going to replace that with pavers then? Is that?
I would- I would like to replace it with wood or some kind of item that you don't have to stain, so that it's not going to be slippery, so that it will be a solid surface. That would be my wish. And I want to sincerely apologize. My husband and I had absolutely no idea that, this required, a permit, or we absolutely would have done that. So I really do apologize. The cabin, when we bought it, it'll be 6 years in October, it had a little retaining wall on the north side of it, but there was so much water damage that it just began to rot. It was rotten wood, that was over there.
Okay, anybody else in the audience want to comment?
We did the site work out there and basically.
Mark Prout, can you just,
Mark Crowley.
Yep.
We did the site work out there and shot everything up. There is a lot of discrepancy here. It's kind of uncertain on the right of way on the south side because, you can see there's a right of way line from the condo plat, which is 16.5 feet. We have the plats from Baker in 1940 saying it's a 33-foot private road, and it's been updated since then. Of course, it was just a two-rudder going back to all the cabins and stuff. Now the town road is there, and they've done the assessor's plat, and they show it to be 66. Whether it is 66 or not, there's no other records of it. We have old records showing 16.5 from Centerline, but there's also the prescriptive right of the township to use it as 33. So just for clarification, isn't that heavily traveled road, but it's been improved. It's got good blacktop out there, so I don't see any reason for it to be expanded any further than that, basically.
Is the dotted line represented in that smaller, road town right away, you're saying versus the 66?
Correct. I don't know if you saw the
Yeah.
copy of the one, the one shows the right of way from the condo flat and then the other.
Correct, in the middle of the,
Yes,
assumed, because by default, all the towns and municipalities get the 66 unless it's proven.
Yeah.
What you're saying is you've got town
Yeah.
documentation saying that it isn't a 3-rod road or a
Well,
6-rod.
it's kind of nebulous because the stuff was done way back in the 40s, and since it's been improved, none of the roads are where they're supposed to be out there. They kind of
Correct.
wandered and went where they are, the cabins into the resort like this. And so there really wasn't anything from the 40s till when the plat was redone. That's why even when this condo was done in 76, they showed both. They showed the 16.5 footer on the plat, which is 76 also. And then they also showed 33 on the adjoining lot, which is that the house property that join in there too, that we looked at before, so.
so how much of that patio is into the 66-foot road right away?
None of the patios.
The fire pit patio is shown just.
Oh, the fire pit patio, yes,
Just a little bit into there.
Right, it goes right through the center of the,
2 or 3 feet.
the fire area is probably about the 33-foot offset there, yes.
And then the wood
10 or
shelter is
12 dunes?
clearly a problem.
And you can also see the traveled center line in the center of the right-of-way isn't quite the same either. The traveled right-of-way is actually further south, so.
Yeah, being down there, I'd assume if that road's 18 to 20 feet, you're lucky.
Mhm.
The actual drivable road surface on it, and then, so,
Yeah, it's a dead-end road too.
correct.
Okay, no one else. Jason, can you talk about your, staff report regarding the, condo violations, so the violations here, how that works with a condo and all that? Real unique to this property.
Mark's been through a few of these here recently with us for amending condo plats. Basically, the units are owned by each individual, and the common property is shared amongst all the owners of the condominium. So like, in this case, the patio and the fire pit and all that stuff, and the shed, I'm assuming are yours and probably only used by you, but they're on the common property, so in essence, everyone could go out there and sit at the patio or sit in the fire pit. So a lot of times what they want to do is amend the condo plat to get those to be on an LCE, limited common element area, so then it's kind of your area to use, it's your private space. And when condo is also, when units are expanded, the plat is supposed to be updated to show the proper outline of the units for taxation and assessment purposes and everything else, so I think some of these units, or some of the other units in the condo aren't within the boundaries of what was initially platted in, what was that, 76, I think it was done, on the condo plat, so. They'll have to do some work on the condo plat out there, irregardless of if this one's even approved or denied. There's some other issues that gotta be fixed out there too.
But right now, we're just looking at the issues on this,
Yeah,
it's addressing this.
yep.
And so we got a fire pit. We have a wood shelter. The deck we're talking about, and then how about that shed? Is that part of this?
Patio, so you got fire pit patio,
Yeah.
you got the wood shelter, you got the other patio, you got the shed, and then the deck. 5 things.
Five things on this is what we're concerned about.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question about the general parking. I noticed that there were new trees planted along there, so does that kind of prohibit people, other members of the condo from parking in that area?
We all have kind of our assigned parking areas. Ours is kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, like by the shed, like right here. Ours is there. The unit next to us has parking in there. The 3 units by the lake all have kind of assigned spots too.
So with the trees that I noticed that looked like they were newly planted, are people able to drive in there and park if they needed to, like on the 4th of July when you have hundreds of people? And-
This space right here is
Uh-huh.
really bigger than it looks on here. You could fit, I bet you could fit like 10 cars over here if we had to, yeah.
I'm guessing, you know, that general parking, those squares you're seeing on the plat was on, yeah,
Way back in the.
in the 70s, to throw something on the map essentially, and.
I was gonna address that too, because they're going for the whole parking area, and so they've changed that. And you could also see where we had listed the LCE for 5, that was supposed to be the parking area over there where the fire pit is.
Mhm.
That was kind of designated for their parking area, but they park in a different place, and everybody kind of parks in different places. That's one reason we have to update the map or the drawing. And then that site plan shows real good that you guys are asking about the setbacks. It shows the front edge of the fire pit to be the 29.8. You should have that under one that says site plan. And it shows 18.8 feet from the patio to the right-of-way line. We didn't show the shed dimensions because that was further than those both were. And it shows the setup of each one and the areas on each one of them also. And then this one showed the impervious surfaces for the whole, we did the whole condominium too. And that one had 17% impervious, and of course, most of them, you know, some of it's hers, but not a lot of it's other things. And there's a lot of gravel driveways, as you noticed out there, and those all count for impervious also, so.
So the intended depth that you'd like would be 8 by 22.
Correct.
So the wood shelter that's into the road right away. Clear. How about the other shed? What's the issue with that one?
That one, we just don't have a permit for it, and it's, like I said, it's also not within her, LCE space. So you'd probably want to amend the plat, and I don't know, he didn't have a dimension, I don't know if it's 30 from the right of way or not.
Yeah.
Close,
It's probably about 20, 25, like,
so.
and the main shed is 10 by 10, I believe. I
Mhm.
think Tina said that she had talked to somebody at the county and said it was under 10 by 10, it was okay.
Yep, that you don't need a permit for it, it still needs to meet the setbacks,
Need to meet the
so.
setbacks, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so that one doesn't meet the 30-foot.
Okay.
Road right away.
One issue that you might not be able to see, but on this side of my cabin is really the only side that things come in. It's like my propane is there, my, water line comes this way, and our septic is there. So all 3 of those things are on this side. And then there is like a rectangle, right there of ownership that someone owns. It's their plat on the association property, but there's no structure there. So, yeah, if you would like me to use the shed, I would just like advice on like where I could do that, without disrupting septic or water or the other parcel. And the wood shelter too, it is not a permanent, so I'm happy to pick that up and move that elsewhere. And definitely I think Jason had written on there that a chain and a lock on the septic, yeah, that's for sure, we'll get that done.
Any other correspondence from the municipality or whatnot?
No correspondence from anybody on this one.
This one, okay. Any other questions from the board? Oh, okay, well, we can close this portion of the hearing. You can go back and take a seat and we'll discuss it. We struggle with the three criteria. I think that, I don't think we have any harm to the public interest here. I think that we're solving some issues. It is certainly unique to this lot and the slope and the water drainage and things like that. Trying to get some accessible places for handicapped and things like that too. I think that the unnecessary hardship we can meet that way. I think the stuff would need to be corrected, just whatever the county requires for the wood sheds and sheds, they would coordinate all that.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with any of the requests for the variance, except for I think maybe, like you said, if she's willing to move that wood shed that's close on the thing and the fire pit, like I said, a lot of these town roads were lotted off, like I said, if you can find records, which is surprising, because most of the times you don't. So I'd have more concern down the future on the two private drives that lead back to the further properties on the lake, making sure those right-of-ways don't get too tight for EMS and fire to get on. But the center line on that road, I think, is plenty big to have this adjustment made.
It's not blocking visibility for the road or anything like that, you know, it's nothing. You don't see it from the lake or anything like that, so.
What our recommendations have to have anything to do with adding in that the condo plat has to be updated?
I think that they just need to coordinate the violations. If we coordinated the violations on record with the zoning office, would that be sufficient? Or do you want more in there?
Well, the condo plat's gonna get amended no matter what, even if
Let's be
you
take, so.
didn't put it in as a condition.
Yeah, how do we need to verbalize that in
No.
a motion? Okay, that's what I was just
Yeah.
stumbling with, how do we, because that's a secondary kind of action on it, but that is a big deal. It's like you want to make sure those lots are cleared up when you have them come to the county and address the issues, so. I don't think you would have a problem with, obviously, making sure everything's, the i's are dotted and t's are crossed on the lots for what it is.
We want to do what's right. We want to make this right, so.
Any other discussion? If not, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve variance 2209 Shear. All land use permits to be obtained, lock and chain to be installed on the septic tank, and obviously the condominium plat thing would be nice, and then follow all local county, state, and federal requirements for these activities.
You need to say anything about the word.
And then
And then that wood shelter, you had,
I'm assuming that you just want it moved out of the.
oh, 33
right
right
away.
away.
the road right away, yes.
And the shelter to be removed from the road right away.
And then the shed, do they need a permit for that, or is that fine?
If it's over 100 square feet in size, they need a permit. If it's not, then they don't. And if you guys are okay with where it is, you could just leave it there, or
I don't have a problem with it.
That doesn't seem like it was a problem.
That's my motion.
Got a motion? Do we have a second?
I second it.
Motion and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. So you have your variance, you just need to contact the zoning office on their regular business hours and take you through it. Thank you. That one. You ready? So variance, 22-10. Priest?
Priest, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you can state who you are and,
Yeah, Jeff Priest, 6314 Davis Drive. My wife is also in attendance here, Lynn Priest. So, if you've been out to that site, I guess you probably saw where it's staked out, where we would like to, do an addition. We're looking at a, probably 24 by 24 addition. It's, our desire is to, have that cabin be a permanent residence. So we've been up here for about a year. I used to vacation up here when I was a lot younger. So we love this area, and it just would be hard to the existing cabin, there's just not enough space for, it just wouldn't work really well for, as a permanent residence. And want to have grandkids come and join us occasionally, so just, looking to, add a little more space, so.
we're looking at your site plan here, that shows this proposed addition.
Yeah.
And so the well's in the front, that's why it doesn't work, all right?
Right, yeah,
Setback to
yeah,
the lake, of
we
course.
couldn't go that way.
Tank here, we've got septic tanks and things over here, right, behind now.
Yeah,
We meet the 10-foot setback.
From 2 AM.
yeah, on both sides. I think, Lynn, so we had a, Dave Anderson, local contractor out, because we thought, would it be a bit easier, to go on the other side? And I think with the it just would have been more difficult to go out the other way. So once we saw we met setbacks on the other side, that just kind of made sense.
Yeah, and this less obtrusive from the lake, you don't see it tucked behind back in that corner.
Right, yeah,
Versus here, you see
Yeah.
it big time.
yep.
How tall is this addition? Is it one story?
We're thinking of a, again, we've just had a contractor out there just to talk initially what the plan might look like. So probably an A-frame kind of structure. We're thinking of a 24 by 24, probably a family room, and then, depending on how high we would go, kind of a loft area for one additional bedroom. But again, we don't have any specific plans because we don't know that we can move forward, so.
How tall is the existing cabin?
Why, I would say, I don't know, Lynn, yes, or Mark, you guys.
Like a single story.
Yeah, I mean, it's a single story, so.
Story with a fourth wall, I think.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Concern would be that the addition would overpower, the height and everything, that then you really do become visible from the lake or the river. Part of a concern. That's why they move them back,
Yeah,
setbacks.
Right.
Stay
Yeah.
up close,
Yeah.
but
marking right in the ring. I guess we can also add, one of the things that was the question was, it shows to be in the floodplain, but it's not.
Yeah.
The elevation is 956 for the 100-year flood. You can see it's on the front of the bank there. It's not much above, but we had also removed the cabin a couple of years ago from the floodplain, so don't have to pay any flood insurance or anything. And you can see that we got corners of the existing ground spots on there shown, and they're all above 956. So it's able to build right where it's at, basically. And they will be elevating it some also to be the same level as the cabin floor, which is 958. And that's the legal requirement for floodproofing it also, being 2 feet above the 100-year flood, even if it was that high, so they would meet that criteria.
Is the 958 to the base of the floor, or what, like foundation?
No, the floor is the floor to be out above 2 feet is 958.
Yeah, well, the existing cabin is listed at 958. What is that mark, is what I'm asking?
The floor height.
The floor height of the interior level, so like if it was a slab, that's what we're talking about. So when we talk about matching the floor on the 956, it's...
For 958, yeah. They'll have to come up 2 feet with their foundation.
Yeah. So if then your typical construction is 8 foot, 8.5 foot heights, the first floor would be to the roof, 10 foot plus whatever, 412, that if you wanted that second, you'd probably have to go 20 to 22 feet, which isn't tremendous heights, but you could fit both in there.
We should put a number on that. We don't get, otherwise it's 35 feet tall, and that they can raise the cabin to make that 35 feet. So there's a benefit to allowing the addition to come back. That's gonna be the same thing. We didn't gain anything. Then we might be contrary to public interest. That's my concern.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the limit, but I would easily go up to 24, thinking that'd be fine, cutting in back there, and would that be a common, that'd give you architecturally 2 stories that shouldn't be a problem with a gable style or a A-frame.
No, that's certainly, that's lots there.
But then we could put that limit so maybe we protect the view from going back, and vice versa, that it's not too obtrusive as that 35.
Okay, any other comments from the public? Any comments from town, anybody else?
You have 2
Municipality?
comments in your file, or you were probably emailed them. You got, Dave Ferris.
Yeah.
His was, one line, saw the home expansion agenda item, there should be stormwater mitigation for the project. And then you have Mike Windholz from the DNR. You want to read those? Because she likes reading those.
If you want me to.
No, I can read it. Either way.
Go for it, I don't have.
I'll read it, all right. This is from Mike Windholz, dated July 22nd, 2022. Dear board members, the Department of Natural Resources has received the notice for the August 1st, 2022 public hearing concerning the variance request submitted by Jeff Frias to laterally expand a non-conforming principal structure that lies 29.3 feet to the ordinary high water mark of the Clam River. Variance request is from section 45-293 of the Burnett County Shoreline Protection Ordinance. There is reference in the application to variance requests from both sections 45-103 and 45-292, neither of which seems applicable. The department notes the applicant's stated reason in this application for the variance request is to build an addition on the existing home is because the cabin would not be suitable as a permanent residence. As the board reviews the variance request, please keep in mind that the applicant has the burden of proving that their application meets each of the 3 statutory requirements for the granting of variance. The Wisconsin Supreme Court has made it clear that proof of unnecessary hardship by itself does not entail an applicant to a variance. All 3 of the statutory variance required criteria must be satisfied in order to grant a variance. They are unique physical limitations, I won't read that section, no harm to public interest, I won't read that section, and then unnecessary hardship, I won't read that section. It is responsibility of Board of Adjustment to assure that all 3 statutory standards for granting of variance are met for each variance request. It is not clear the applicant has demonstrated that an unnecessary hardship exists for this request. Wanting to use the cabin as a permanent residence, while understandable, is the circumstance of the applicant, not an issue with the property. Cabin as is has presumably maintained reasonable legal use of the property for many years. Two options exist for the applicant to achieve what he desires in a manner compliant with the county ordinance, rebuild at the reduced average setback or beyond the 75-foot setback. And the property as a whole is to be considered. The site plan map in the application appears to indicate there is sufficient area on the property for a compliant building location. If the applicant cannot demonstrate an unnecessary hardship exists, the department recommends this request be denied. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comments. Sincerely, Mike Winholt, Shoreland Program Coordinator.
Okay, any other, no other letters or anything?
No other correspondence that I have seen.
And then the violations record is just the lock and chain on the septic tank. Okay. Other comments, any questions? If not, we'll close this portion of the hearing then, and you guys take a chair and we'll.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. I think the setback, all the properties along there are close. At least
Correct.
close, if not closer in some cases, so that issue isn't there. They could raise and go 35 feet, that would look awful, I think.
I agree. I think that this does meet the three criteria because of the lot systems, and it's unnecessary to replace wells and septic systems in a project when they're there and done. And I think if we put that 24-foot limit on it, then we accomplish both goals.
And add in the stormwater mitigation as well.
Yep. That's kind of an automatic rule, since we have a letter, we'll add it. I agree, you got a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve variance 2210 Priest. Land use permit to be obtained, lock and chain to be installed on the septic system, follow all state, local, federal requirements of the activity. You can contact Dave Ferris and Jason about the stormwater mitigation plan that would go on. And then on the proposed 24 by 24 addition, maximum height of 24 feet. That's acceptable.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I second it.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried. You have your variance,
Thank you very much.
and you just need to contact the zoning office on regular business hours, and they'll fix you up.
Thank you.
Great,
Thank you.
thanks, yeah.
All right, you guys just got to sign some from last month. This one here is the Foss one on Webb Lake to add that 280 square foot addition. Storm shelter, at the bottom. And this one is the, shoreline work, excavation, grading and all that stuff for that one on Hayden Lake. That was denied.
Hear anything on that one yet?
They called me right after and asked about appeal, and I told them once we send you the letter, that's when the clock starts and that stuff, so, let's see.
Like the multiple property one,
Yeah,
the beach.
yeah. Well, that should be it then.
We got a motion to
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
adjourn the
I
meeting.
second it.
Motion carried. That's it.
How do I do this?
Violation forms,